What if I told you that your decisions when buying cars could put an extra $2 million in your pocket? Or on the other side of the coin, could your car purchases be costing you your financial future? Well, in this episode, we're going to reveal the shocking numbers behind all this and show you how to drive your way to millions one car at a time. And so, buckle up.
Okay.
See what I did there? Buckle up as we explore the hidden power of used cars and reveal our 5-step car buying strategy that could turbocharge your financial life without sacrificing your lifestyle. Hey, we are Bob and Linda Lotich, authors of Simple Money, Rich Life, and you're listening to the SeedTime Money Podcast. It's our honor to be spending time with you. And if you do not know, we are in the middle of a 40-week series where we're sharing our 40-week checklist of all the action steps, strategies, and biblical insights that we use to go from paycheck to paycheck living with only $7 to our name to reaching our biggest financial goal, giving away $1 million, and really living a life of true financial freedom. And so today I want to share a little bit of an anecdote about how making a mindset shift, and one that I had a mentor help me make 15, 17 years ago or so, that radically has changed our financial future, and it can do the same for you. And so I want to just share a little bit of an anecdote of what this could look like for you. And really the idea is, what does it look like? So if you are someone who always buys new cars, what does it look like if you become someone, you choose to become someone who always buys used cars? Okay. And if you're someone who always buys new, I just want to make this point real quick. I'm not saying go buy old junkers and beaters. We're going to try to do this in a way, we're going to try to pitch an idea in a way that you can still drive nice cars, but just not brand new. And I want to show like the powerful difference here. So if you imagine two people, the first one named, let's say Allison, and then the second one, we'll say Bob. Allison and Bob.
Okay.
Or do you want to do Linda? Let's just Allison. Okay. So Allison buys a new car every 5 years. Okay. And average new car costs about $35,000. Okay. So a new car every 5 years costing $35,000. With financing interest, she ends up spending around $38,000 for each car over 5 years. Okay. And so if you add that up, multiply that over a period of 40 years, okay, she will have spent a total of about $196,000 on her cars. Okay.
That is eye-opening.
This is not factoring in insurance and all the other factors, because those are going to be the same for both of us.
Well,
insurance might be lower on the next person, but
yeah, I mean, $35,000 I think is conservative when you think about the cost of cars going up and all that. But yes, okay.
Yeah, so like we're not going like with major extremes here.
Right.
Okay. So again, Allison's spending $35,000 every 5 years to have a new car. Okay. Bob or Bill, whatever. I'm going with A and B, and I'm trying to give them names. Should we do Bob or Bill? Well, let's do Bill. Okay. So Bill, on the other hand, Bill buys a used car for $15,000, okay, and pays cash. Okay. Now, this is something that we did before we get further down. I remember thinking there's no way I could ever pay cash for a car. But like this cycle, you can actually break out of that a whole lot faster than you might think. Because for us, we both got married. We both had car loans.
Right.
And so we just kept driving those cars a little bit longer. Once they were paid off, started putting the same payment amount into a savings account. You do that for a couple years and you have a lot of money in there.
Right.
And then you can buy that next car with cash. And so it isn't that far-fetched of an idea, even though at the outset, when money's tight, it feels like, how could I ever save up $15,000 to buy a car with cash?
Yeah.
So trust me on this, you can do that, okay? So Bill, in this situation, buys a used car for $15,000, pays cash, okay? Replaces his car every 5 years and spends about $1,000 a year on maintenance for it, okay? In which this is right in line with what I would say we've been doing the last 15 years.
Yeah.
Like part of the kickback a lot of people have is, well, it's going to cost so much more to have an old car. And the truth is it just hasn't for us. Like I know many people with far newer cars who spend way more on maintenance. And we're going to talk about how to avoid those maintenance costs in just a little bit. But anyway, so the point is, Bill here is buying a used car for $15,000 every 5 years instead of $35,000 like, what's her name? I forgot her name.
Allison.
Okay. So over 40 years, again, multiply this out. Every 5 years, Bill is spending $15,000. Over 40 years, Bill spends a total of $125,000. Okay. So if we subtract those two, okay, Bill is spending $71,000 less than Allison over that 40-year period.
Okay.
Now, if Bill takes that savings, that's $71,000 over that 40 years, as it goes and invests that and gets an annual rate of return of 9%, which is pretty much about the average S&P 500 return for the last, 40, 100 years or whatever.
Okay. 40
Once they
to
reach
100 years?
Well, yeah, somewhere in there.
4,000
Not
years?
4,000. That's what our kids say all the time.
They're like, it takes 4,000 hours to get there.
Yeah. Anyway.
Okay. So 40 to 100 years.
Yeah. Like
been
that's
about
just
9%.
the historical, average rate of return.
Okay.
And so anyway, so 40 years later, that investment has grown to over $2 million.
Wow.
And like, that's pretty exciting.
That's pretty exciting.
Don't you think?
So, well, yeah. And what's great about it is it's like the people who say, I don't know where to find this money. Here's a great place to look.
Yeah.
Right?
And so, and this is a question I have for you is what could you do with an extra $2 million?
A lot.
What could you do? And again, like how much kingdom impact could you make with $2 million?
Right.
How many situations could you solve? Like how many, whatever, problems in your own life and difficulties and things where it's like, man, it'd be nice to have a little money to put towards that. It's like, whatever.
Right.
Like there's just, and I just don't think most people think about this and understand that it's not a matter of like having no car and buying a new car. It's literally just having a car that'll get you from A to B with air conditioning and with a radio that works and whatever else. And that still is pretty nice.
Yeah.
Like the amount of sacrifice that it is required to have this type of benefit is so small. And it's like, I just feel like no one gets this and realizes it. And I definitely did not get it until I had a mentor kind of walk me through this and show me and teach me this when I was in my early 20s or whatever. And I'm just so thankful that he did because it fundamentally changed how we approached our car decisions that we made.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot to talk about here because I think initially when you present this as an idea, your brain automatically goes to the worst case scenario. And it just doesn't have to be like that. I mean, we have purchased used cars. You bought one from your sister that for $1,000 that it was like, honestly, that car was pretty clean. Like it wasn't my favorite car I've ever seen.
That was a backup car for what it's worth.
That was a backup car. That was like one decision that we made that kind of helped us move forward in this. And it wasn't like the best car I've ever seen. Like, don't get me wrong. But it was a great...
This is the Bubble Tourist. For anybody who's read the book, that's what we're talking about, the Bubble Tourist. It was a great...
Let's drive this for a year and see what can happen. And see if we can keep saving up money towards, getting the car that we actually did want.
Yeah,
you know
that
what I mean?
allowed us to buy the next car with cash.
Right. It allowed us to buy the next car with cash. And I think also, when we bought the next car with cash, we bought a used car. And in my head, it was going to be gross. It was going to be dirty and used and whatever. And I don't know why I didn't realize this, probably because I had always cleaned cars myself. But if you have a car professionally cleaned, it looks really good in there.
Yeah, spend a couple $100 and it will look far better than I think most people's 1-month-old car who eat in there and everything else.
Right. And so, I mean, but this is also a trick. I think if you're like, I just want a new car, get the thing professionally cleaned.
Absolutely.
Spend a couple $100 and I feel like you'll be like, wow, I didn't realize it could be this clean.
Yeah.
So yeah, I kind of just wanted to throw that in there because I think sometimes it's like this mental hurdle of like, I don't want to have something that I hate or gross or, whatever. Like that was definitely it for me. Where I was like, I'm never going to get a new car again. And like we went into it like that. And once we got into the process and I realized what was actually going on, it was a lot less scary to me.
Yeah.
And it was a lot less like, I can't have what I want.
Yep.
And I realized that I actually could get what I wanted.
Yeah. And so we've been doing this for, when did we buy that first one?
Well, we bought the
Probably
Taurus.
in 2007. Yeah.
But
so
then
we're going on.
probably 2010, we bought our first like really nice used car.
Yeah. So yeah,
Probably
so
around there.
it's probably been 14, 15 years or something at this point that we've been doing this, and we've been continuing to buy used cars with cash, and which is really, really nice. And again, like it just provides so much extra money each month when you break away from the car payment. And again, like we mentioned with insurance is cheaper. Like one of the weirdest things that I love, every time I've had a new car and I go and it gets its first ding in it, and especially if it's like someone else, like at a grocery store parking lot, or runs a cart into it, and I come out and there's a ding in it. Like it's so frustrating.
Yeah.
And not that I want our cars to be all dinged up, but man, it feels a whole lot different when the car is a little bit older. Like I just feel a little bit less obsessed about it.
Right.
You know? And
You're like, it's fine.
which is honestly
is
just
where we're
really
at
comforting.
With the van right now.
Like, and that is part of the reason why it's like, I don't, as much as I would love like $100,000 sports car or having a Porsche, you know, or something like that's the part of it where it's like, I don't like having to be all nervous about the thing and trying to keep it. Anyway, to each his own, you know, but like,
I mean, also it's like, it's a nice thing to realize that the thing doesn't have you.
yeah.
That it's not controlling you, that it's not in control of your happiness or your self-esteem or fill in the blank with whatever's there. Your status, your, you know, what you think about yourself, what other people think about you. It's kind of nice to not be in that position and realize where our true worth comes from.
Yep.
It's not from a car or anything else.
Yeah. So let's talk about how to do this, because if I have convinced you at all, or if you want to send this to your kids or someone and you're like, I need to convince them. But like, we have a process that we followed that I've just developed over the years of doing this to find a used car that A, is nice, that B, is reliable, and honestly, in many cases, more reliable. Like, because we typically buy cars, I would say 3 to 4 years old, and we'll get into those details in just a minute. And oftentimes, we will buy a car that's 3 or 4 years old, and I will have people around me who have a brand new car that has far more problems and that's in the shop more often than our car that is 4, 5, 6, 7 years old as it ages. Right now, we have an 8 and a 10-year-old car in our garage, and we're getting ready to replace the one. Like it's time. Like, you know, 10 years is kind of like all right, it's time to move on. Like, but the point is, that this has worked really well for us, and it's And again, like this is why we're bringing this up in this series, because if it weren't for this, had we been locked in this mindset of have to buy a new car every 5 years, we would not have reached this big giving goal that we reached. And, you know, like we talked about, we're just getting started. Like we have really ambitious goals for the impact that we want to make in the kingdom. And this is such a minor sacrifice for us to be able to have so much more of a significant impact in the kingdom through our giving, you know? So anyway, all I'd say, I want to drop you into a YouTube video that we recorded a few years back, probably 4 or 5 years ago, where we break down this 5-step process for exactly what I do when I'm going to buy a used car. Again, to make sure that we get a good one, make sure we get one that's not a lemon, that's reliable, and all these different things, and get a decent price on it, you know?
Yeah.
So with that, I'm going to drop you into that now.
So we just bought a minivan. I can't believe I'm smiling saying that. We both kind of swore off ever having a minivan, right?
But now we are really happy about
I mean,
it.
it's pretty cool. Like once you have little kids, and we get 3 of them now, and it's really nice having some of the conveniences of a minivan. But anyway, so I got to use my kind of method and my system for buying a car that is reliable for a good price. And so I want to talk through a little bit of that. Basically, it's my 5-step process that I follow whenever we buy a car, and it has served us well so far. So that's what we're going to talk a little bit about now.
I am not the kind of girl that thinks through this stuff. That's why I'm really glad I married you. But that's also why we're sharing this, is because this is really helpful when you are buying a car.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so number 1 is buying a car that is about 2 to 4 years old.
Somewhere in there. New cars are nice in some ways, but the amount of money that you lose to depreciation over those first couple of years. Think about having two different buckets that you're carrying water in, okay? One of them has one little hole that's letting some water out, and the other one has like 5 holes that are like, fist-size holes, and the water's just draining out really, really fast. A new car is that bucket that has all these holes, and you're just losing money in the total value of the car really, really quickly. That's why it's so nice to buy a car that is a bit older, because it loses money at a much lower rate of speed. And so if you have to own something that is going to be losing money, which pretty much every car that we purchase is going to be losing money,
Right.
it might as well be losing money at a slower pace, right?
Yes.
So,
And I have to say, I'm the kind of girl that wants a new car.
but I brainwashed you into believing
No.
that this is a good idea.
Most of these cars are really still, they feel really nice and new.
Yeah,
So,
you can if you get a well taken care of 4-year-old car,
Yeah.
like we just did, that's exactly
that's
what
exactly
we did.
what we did. And
You
it
know.
looks amazing.
Yeah, it looks fantastic on the outside. There were 1 or 2 little stains on the inside that we wish we'd gotten
As
fixed.
fantastic as a minivan
but-
can look from the outside.
Yeah. So that's the goal. Looking for a car that is in that 2 to 4-year-old range window, and going older isn't a bad idea. It just depends on how reliable of transportation that you need to have it in terms of all this. If it were up to me and I was by myself, I'd be buying one even older than that to minimize that depreciation. But this is the sweet spot for us, and it's a generally accepted kind of a range to be in to minimize depreciation while having a newer, nicer car.
Yep. And I can agree to that.
Yeah. Number 2 is to go to consumerreports.org and then pay for 1 month of their online service. And this will be the best money that you spend when you are buying a car. What's cool about them is they're an independent research firm who researches cars and their reliability ratings and all this stuff. It's just a wealth of information to help you find a car that is reliable, that's going to last, that doesn't have problems, and then find the ones that are. And so you want to avoid the ones that are problem ones and then buy the ones that are better.
Once you if you just go to buy a car by looks, and then you go to Consumer Reports and you're like, this thing could be breaking down on me quite often.
Yeah.
It just kind of takes the appeal
That
away.
$70,000 Range Rover looks really nice while it's
No,
moving.
that one is painful
but on
for
the
me.
side of the highway, it doesn't look too
Not
cool
so
anymore.
much fun. I mean,
know?
and even if it doesn't break down on the side of the highway, just the inconvenience of having a lot of things that need to be fixed over and over, even if you have a warranty and all
Yep,
that stuff,
yep.
just makes it maybe not worth it.
Exactly. And so what you'll find, and this is changing a little bit now, but generally speaking, Asian cars, particularly Japanese cars, they're just very reliable cars. They make a great product that lasts a long time. Yeah, so really pretty much the last 13 years we've owned Hondas, and they've been nothing but really amazing for us.
Yeah. And we've owned other cars too, but those have really
but those have been our kind of
treated
primary
us well.
cars. And compared to some of the other cars I've owned, it's just like night and day. Like I owned all American cars growing up, and I love buying an American car. I'm an American. I love doing that. But the reality is it's not. Well, it's a global market now. 20 miles away from me is a huge Nissan factory where they're building Nissans. That's not an American company, but they manufacture them right down the street. So it's a very different thing than it used to be in terms of kind of having a nationalist kind of thing with the cars that you're buying. So once I go to Consumer Reports, like I'll kind of have some cars in mind that I'm thinking about, and I'll run them kind of through and look at the reliability ratings. So I'm looking at them for that car, but specifically also for the car years that I'm looking at. So in our case, we just bought this Honda Odyssey. We bought a 2015, which had much better ratings than I think the 2016 and the 2014 in terms of reliability. So they did something different in that year, or they were manufactured in a different place or something that made that year vehicle a better buy than the year after and before. So those are things you want to keep in mind as you're kind of going through. It's not just the one car, but also the year that it was made. Number 3 on the list is to look at Edmunds' total cost to own number. And if you've heard of Edmunds, they're a big kind of car information website. They have this number that they kind of calculated for pretty much every car, where they tell you the total cost to own this car over 5 years. And so that includes things like gas mileage, that includes things like insurance, that includes things like reliability and how many repairs are needed, like all the stuff. They roll it up into one big number, which they call total cost to own. And this has been really interesting because when we bought our Honda Fit, like what was that, probably 12 years ago or something, it was one of our
13,
first cars in our marriage. It was a Honda Fit, tiny little car with great gas mileage. That had a really low total cost to own number. And meanwhile, there were other cars like kind of in that class that might have even been cheaper cars, maybe a couple $1,000s cheaper to buy, but actually were considerably more expensive total cost to own over the 5-year period. Maybe because of gas mileage, maybe because of repairs or whatever. But it's a good number to look at. It'll give you a good idea of, how much you're going to be spending over the 5-year period for everything involved with this car purchase.
I just realized the Fit looked like a minivan. It looked like a tiny minivan.
The Honda Fit, it does. Doesn't it look like a tiny little minivan?
It really
like
does.
with doors? But
I know.
it got the job done.
That was a great car.
It was a really great car.
really
If you have
good
the opportunity to drive a Fit, they're actually really fun to drive too. Number 4 is to identify the trim level of the car you want to buy. So in our case, we just bought this Honda Odyssey, and there's like 7 different trim levels of different things that they have in bells and whistles and whatever. And we figured out what our kind of non-negotiables were, what we wanted in this vehicle, and we found out which trim level we needed to have in order to have that. And this is really good information to have, because depending on what the trim level is, you might be spending $10,000 difference between these two to buy essentially a lot of things you don't care about, if it's a trim level package with junk that you just don't need. So find out what that is, and find out what the lowest level trim level is that gets you all the things that you want. And that's going to make searching for the specific vehicle just a lot easier. As you're going through different sites like Auto Trader or whatever, searching for used cars, you'll be able to search for trim level as well, and that'll really pull down your price of what you're spending.
Yeah, and it'll also just save you the time and the hassle of getting to look at a car and realizing it doesn't have stuff that you actually wanted in there.
Which we've done that
a couple of times.
Yeah, we actually drove, I don't know, what was it, 100, 200 miles to go buy our Honda Pilot.
Oh, yeah.
It was the top trim level, and I mistakenly assumed that because it was the top trim level, that it included 4-wheel drive. We absolutely wanted 4-wheel drive, and we got all the way down there and realized, even though this is the touring package, it didn't have 4-wheel drive. So that was a bummer. So do your homework before you drive really far away to find a car. Do you want to do it?
No, I don't really know what to say about it. So I'm going to let you do this one.
All right. Number 5 is get a Carfax or Auto Check. And these are two kind of different companies that will give you a history about the car. And this is really, really important. And so when you're going through and looking at different cars, and basically for me, I'm looking for a car that hasn't had any accidents. That's the ideal. And sometimes that's hard to find. And if it's a super minor accident, I might let it slide. But if it's been in a pretty bad collision, that just messes a lot of stuff up on the inside. And I just don't feel like taking chances on it. I would rather have a car with no accidents, all things being considered. I also like a car with one owner. You have one person who's owned a car, for 5 years or for 4 years, like that. That feels a whole lot better than one that's been turned over 3 different times. And then the other thing is if it's been dealer serviced the entire time and you have records that's gold, because you have people who are the best experts at taking care of that car, doing the service work. That's just really, really good, rather than getting in there and seeing that there are no oil changes reported in the last 50,000 miles. It's maybe the owner did them. I do them myself, but I would much rather have that in writing on the record. And so those are the things that I'm looking for with that. And there's a variety of other things you can consider when looking at these. But these are 2 different ways to get very specific information on the exact car that you're looking at, because it's based off of a VIN number for that actual car.
Yeah. All right, you have a bonus?
We got a bonus. So bonus one is, and we haven't done this yet, but this is kind of what we almost did, and which I almost wish we would have done.
We would have, yeah.
Yeah. More and more companies are offering a 7-day try it before you buy it kind of guarantee thing, which is really nice. So in our case, we didn't use this, but a company like CarMax, I think Carvana might do this as well. Yeah. And I think there's a few more where you can buy it from them, for any reason at all. You don't like it, you can return it, get your money back, no questions asked. So obviously make sure the company you're doing that with, that's what their policy is. But in our case, it worked out fine. We ended up buying from a dealer, and it just wasn't the best experience.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
But the car itself is fine.
Yeah.
It's not like after 4 days we wanted to return it. But what's nice about having a policy like this is you have the option of doing that. So you could take it to a mechanic 2 days after you bought it and have them check it over, make sure everything looks good. Somebody who knows more about cars than you do. And I don't know, it just provides a level of comfort knowing that they did that. And more importantly, that you have 7 days to kind of return it. So that's something that I am always looking for. And I'm, every car we buy going forward, I want to be looking for something like that, just for that little insurance policy. All right. So what are you going to add here?
Okay, so the only thing that I think I want to add is just be really careful not to just buy emotionally. It's really, really difficult to do. You can really save yourself a lot of hassle, a lot of, I don't know if heartache's the right word, but maybe it is.
Well, and not to mention, like, if you're dealing with any sort of shady car dealer at all, like, they're banking on the fact that you are buying emotionally. Like,
Yeah.
they are, all, like, that's how they are going to,
Yeah.
you know.
It won't be a good situation. So work and muster up every piece of patience that you have to do your research, take your time, and don't be in a rush.
Yeah, and the more information, really all these things are just providing information for you to make a good decision. And the more information you have, the better decision you're going to be able to make. And you're going to be in a better position, like negotiating, just having this information and knowing what you actually want. And and be patient. Like the car will come out, it will be available. And so today's search, if you don't see it, that's okay. Or if there's only one, but it's from a shady dealer, like, just wait. You're going to find the car. Just be patient.
All right, great. Well, I hope you found that helpful. Hopefully, and bookmark this episode. If you're planning on buying a car soon, obviously, like, follow these steps, okay? We'll have links down in the description below for you. If you know somebody who's going to buy a car soon, like, send this to them.
Yeah.
Like, we were able to help someone recently just with this. And like, this is thousands of dollars of help and value. You know what I mean? Like, this is worth sending to a friend, sending to your kids, whoever is listening, as they're getting ready to make a car purchase, because this is just a big, big deal. And again, like, this $2 million number that we're throwing out, like, this is not a pipe dream. Like, this is the real potential here, just by flipping a switch and just saying, all right, I don't have to buy a new car every time. I'm going to buy a nice used car instead, and just following that pattern. So,
yeah, I mean, that's what's amazing about it, is it can seem like a big sacrifice, but it's really not. And the upside potential is so high.
yeah. Well, yeah, and one last thing, I'll just say this because somebody's asking, well, that's great, but how do I invest it? Okay, great. We have a course for that. It's called 10X Investing, and literally we break down exactly how to do this step by step.
Right.
So go check that out, seedtime.com/10X, if you need help on that side of the equation. But first thing to do is to make this switch so that you have that extra money, okay, and then go throw it in the Get Started Investing with that course.
Yep.
That's all for today. We'll see you in the next one.
I thought it was the best combination of personal finance and the Christian faith that I've ever read. This is what James said after he read our book, Simple Money, Rich Life.
And did you know that you can get a copy of this award-winning book for free?
You can get it on Amazon, but we so believe that the church needs this message that if you can cover shipping, we'd love to cover the cost of the book and send you a free copy.
All you need to do is go to seedtime.com/free to get yours.